Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Micah hanging out here inside the Seagrass studio on this awesome Thursday. But you know what makes it even better is I have my buddy Maya here. Maya, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Hi.
Awesome. And you know what's even better is we have a buddy of ours, I'll say a new buddy of ours, who's joining us on Zoom. And it is Jeremy Jordon right here on B-Boy 45. Take it away, Maya.
Okay, so first I just want to say again, thank you so much for calling in. I really can't believe I'm talking to you right now.
It's my pleasure. I can't believe I'm here. I'm so happy and excited and humbled and let's get this started.
So my first question for you is who or what inspired your passion for singing and musical theater?
Oh gosh, it's really interesting because I was always really shy growing up, and I think I realized, listening to the radio back in the early 90s, I listened to like a lot of pop music and boy bands and just big people with really big voices. And I used to try to emulate their voices. And back before my voice changed, like I used to sing a lot of Celine Dion songs and things like that. And so I kind of taught myself how to sing. And then I went to choir, and my choir teacher in elementary and in middle school and in high school, they would sort of help guide me into the singer that I would become. And then as for Broadway and stuff, I always liked acting, and I always thought that it was a nice way to sort of escape, because I was not a very confident kid. And I was, like I said, I was really shy. And so it was a way to be someone that wasn't myself. So I could sort of escape into a character and be different and try out new lives and new ways of thinking and new ways of talking. And, I had different role models growing up. I didn't know a lot about theater until I went to school for theater. Like I knew I liked acting, but I didn't really know Broadway. Like I had seen a couple of shows, but I knew I wanted to try it. And then, so by the time I went to school and started studying, the people I kind of looked up to were like Gavin Creel and Hunter Foster and Norbert Leo Butz. Those are the kind of the guys that I wanted to emulate myself towards.
Cool. So you've been in a couple Broadway shows, including the production of Newsies, and you received so much acclaim for that role. What was your favorite part of being on Broadway and being part of that production?
Well, Newsies was incredible. I mean, it was a dream come true for me. It was the show, I don't know if you know, is based on a movie from like a Disney movie from the 90s. And so I was a kid when that came out, and I used to love it. I watched it all the time. And so it was a big part of my inspiration, like sort of from your last question, of wanting to sing and act and dance, even though I'm not a very good dancer. Don't tell anybody. But so it was kind of a dream come true for me when I got the opportunity to be Jack Kelly. It was just like, it was something that was already kind of a part of me, in a way, because I had grown up, you think about those shows and those things that you watch a million times and it just feels like they're inside of you. And at any given moment you could, start reciting lines or singing songs. That was what Newsies was for me. And so then getting to be the person to like bring it to a new generation was really exciting. And just getting to sort of live out that childhood dream every night was probably the best part for me.
Cool. So do you have a favorite Broadway show?
Oof. I love almost everything I see. Like I just am a big fan, and because I've been a part of things, like I know how much effort and how much work it takes and love and blood, sweat, and tears it takes to put into these productions, that I try to find the good in them. But if I had to pick, the first show I ever saw was Rent. And so that left a really big mark on me. And probably also Spring Awakening and West Side Story. Those would, I'd say, be my top three.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I love Rent, and Spring Awakening is my favorite. I've never seen it, but I've always wanted to, and I have the soundtrack on 24/7, so I annoy my mom and my sister.
Yeah, I understand that deeply. I feel like we get each other all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, I have my Broadway bracelet on with Spring Awakening. So
Oh, cool.
So you play Win in Supergirl, and I love the crossover musical episode between Supergirl and The Flash. I watch it all the time. Can you relate to Win in any way?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Win is probably the character that I've played that's the most like me. I mean, I'm not as super smart as he is, and I don't have superhero best friends, but I was kind of shy like him growing up, and always tended to, like at the beginning of the series, he has a big crush on Supergirl as his best friend, but it's like just something that he never feels like he could ever attain. And that's something that I had a lot as a kid growing up. And so I connected with him in that way. And he's also just a big nerd and loves sciencey things, and computer things, and video games. And I was always like that as a kid. I was always, I almost went into going into a career of designing games, and I was super into computers, and I was a programmer, and not full out hacker as a kid, but I was halfway there until I discovered my love for musical theater. But I always thought I could have gone that direction if I hadn't have chosen the path that I chose. And he's just so much fun. He's always making jokes and making everybody laugh. And so I really relate to him.
Cool. What was it like transitioning from theater to a superhero show?
Well, I'm a big superhero fan. When I was a kid, I used to read a lot of comics, although I don't really do it much anymore. But I'm big into sci-fi. I read a lot of fantasy novels. It's kind of where my entertainment brain lives. It's just so getting to be a part of something that was in that world was something that I always wanted to do. It was a big dream of mine. And so the transition wasn't too difficult for me because it was something that I was super excited about. And it was also, wasn't the main character. And so I felt like I didn't have to carry the whole thing. And so I could sit back and learn from other people and kind of find my way. And what was also really great was it was just a really lovely group of people. I loved the whole cast and the company, and when you have a great group of wonderful people that you're working with, trying something new or doing something for the first time is always going to be that much easier.
Cool. Yeah. So you've done so many cool things, including the last 5 years, Joyful Noise and Smash. Have you had a favorite project or character you've played?
Well, last 5 years is definitely up there on that list. It was a musical that I was super obsessed with when I was in college, studying musical theater. And it used to, and it, for anybody that knows the last 5 years and is a performer knows that those songs and those characters are really, really difficult. And when you're going to theater school, like I was doing, it was kind of like the test. Like if you could perform a song from the last 5 years and like do it justice and do really well at it, then you were like ready to go. Like you were good enough to go out into the world. And so it was something that I always loved. And that I got an opportunity to sort of create it anew for a different medium than it was intended for. Cause it was just intended to be solos on the stage, and we made it into this whole film world. It felt really collaborative, and really exciting. And it was only we only worked on it for like 3 weeks. So it was like 3 weeks of my life, but it was still like one of the most gratifying experiences. So I'd probably pick that. I mean, we already talked about Newsies. That's always going to be my number one, but that one's up there.
Oh, cool. So is there a song that you currently have on repeat on your playlist?
Oof. I've been on a little bit of kind of introspective music kick. So I've been listening. Throughout the pandemic, I was listening to a lot of Taylor Swift, a lot of folklore. Like that whole album was on repeat for me for a while. So yeah, that's like my gut reaction response. I mean, there's other stuff, but that's the one that sort of struck me the most.
Oh, cool. Is there a certain line from a song, book, or movie that's always stuck with you or inspires you?
Oh, geez. I mean, there's a lot of things. I try to take something new from everything that I read and experience, and try to continue to grow with that sort of thing. So my memory doesn't hold on to a lot of stuff in the past. So I recently read this book. So I read a lot, right? And I read a lot, like I said, I read like a lot of fantasy and fiction, but I also read a lot of regular books. And I read this one book recently called The Untethered Soul, which is kind of like just about life, and it's like helping you try to like think more positively. And there's one idea in the book that he says that we have this little voice inside of our head that takes control of things, and we tend to listen to it even when it says negative things. And that if we can just accept that it's just a little voice and we can shut it out, and it's not who we really are, it's just that little thing that kind of holds us back from the things that we could do and the great things that we could become. And we can learn to sort of shut that off and not let it lead us to negative places, then we can really do exceptional things. And that's something that I read recently that really stuck with me.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So what makes you roll your eyes every time you hear it?
What makes me roll my eyes?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I think anytime somebody says something negative about themselves that they know isn't true,
Yeah.
you're just like, no, like, don't do that to yourself, like,
Yeah.
you're great. And especially when they're like, well, I'm not this or I'm not that, when they clearly are that, I'm like, come on, you're just like making it harder for yourself. It's not really an eye rolly moment. I try not to be too much of an eye rolly person. Sometimes I'll eye roll when people are like super cheesy about things, but I secretly like it. So it's really it's really a fake eye roll, but
is there a show that you're currently binge watching?
gosh, when is there not? The one that I'm currently watching is, well, I don't know. I'm told that I have to keep it G-rated, but it's on Netflix, and it's a comedy, and it's 2 words, and the second word is creek.
As you were talking, I was like, okay, I think I know what you're about to say.
So that's what I'm watching right now. I just finished binge watching all of New Girl, which I loved. You know, I just binge watched Bridgerton with everybody else. Oh gosh, I feel like I've binge watched everything. It's just how it is, you know. The Bachelor, we started binge watching The Bachelor. It's like, what am I not binge watching?
Yeah. Throughout quarantine, we've been binge watching so many things, watching so many movies. Like, we kind of, kind of like, I feel like we've seen everything at this point.
Yeah. I'm trying to switch over to more movies though, right? Because I feel like it's so easy to get sucked into a TV show. And sometimes you just need to just watch a movie and then it's over. Yeah. And then you're done. And then you can move on to something else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I know I've been when I wake up before my mom and sister, and then I've been rewatching The Flash, and then watching Arrow, and
you're doing all the superhero series.
Yes.
Oh, and there's so many episodes. There's so many.
Yeah.
There's 50 a season, it feels like.
Yeah. So I'm almost done with season 5 of Arrow. So then I have 3 more seasons to go. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Godspeed.
Thank you. So do you ever get anxious before an audition? And do you have any rituals that help you calm your nerves?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody gets anxious before auditions. The best thing I think that you can do, that I do, is usually when I get anxious, because I've been doing this for so long, so I don't get as nervous as I used to. But now when I get nervous, I usually know it's for a specific reason. And usually the reason is that I've made it too important. So when you're auditioning, and that's like your life as you're auditioning, your life then becomes learning how to deal with rejection, right? Because you're auditioning for one role and there's 100 people auditioning for it. The chances of you getting it are not high. And so the more you audition, the more you get rejected, right? And that's kind of the thing that we're all afraid of, right? It's the fear of rejection and the fear of not being good enough and all that stuff. And so what tends to happen, at least for me, is that I'll read something and I'll be like, well, this is the one. This is the one that I'm going to get because I love it, or I really connect with the character, or it's a cool story, or for whatever reason, I've told myself that I'm going to get this one. Even though I didn't get the last 10, I'm going to get this one. And that's when you walk in and you're like, oh God, I have to be perfect, because you've made it this special, precious thing when really it's just another audition. And generally the ones that you do get are the ones where you walk in and you just kind of set your worries aside and you're just like, I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to just be myself. I'm just going to have a chat. I'm just going to do what I prepared. And then I'm going to go home and not think about it ever again. And what that does is it relaxes you. It takes away your anxiety. It takes the pressure away from it because you're not expecting anything, you know? And so as soon as you sort of take those expectations of what it could be out of your head, I think that it takes a lot of the anxiety away at the same time.
Cool. Yeah, so, do you have a motto or quotation that you live by?
That I live by?
Yeah.
I think that changes too. Right now, I have one on my desk over there that I like. It's a quote by the Buddha, and it says, "There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path."
Oh, I like that.
Right, because I feel like, for me specifically, as I've gotten older and you deal with things in life, you tend to start putting other people before you. I'm a dad now. I'm married. I'm a husband. And you put other people's happiness before your own, and then you kind of forget about yourself. And recently, I've sort of been focusing on my own happiness, and then what that does is it makes everything else around me that much better, and it makes my ability to make other people happy that much easier because I'm already in a good place. If you're just focused on other people's happiness and doing things, and not looking out for yourself, then there's like a little bit of secret resentment that lives within you. It's like, oh, well, I'm trying really hard to make everybody else happy, but why am I not happy? Shouldn't I be happy because everybody else is? But it's actually the opposite. If you're happy first, then it's like when you're on an airplane and the oxygen masks come down, you got to put your oxygen mask on first, and then you help the person next to you, because you can't help them if if you're not able to breathe, you can't help the other person. So it's like that idea. Yeah. So it was a little bit of a morbid metaphor, but it's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, I was like, don't remind me why I'm scared to go on.
It's never going to happen. It's never happened to me. Yeah. But that's what they always say.
Yeah. So my last question for you is, who do you consider to be a real life superhero and why?
Well, I hope you don't take this as a cop-out answer, but I feel like everybody, right? Because what we've learned, especially in the past year, is that life is really fragile, and people are fragile, and people deserve love and respect, and they have to honor each other and be there for each other. And what this pandemic has sort of forced out of a lot of people is to reckon whether they've done that or not. And I think that we all have the capability of being there for one another and doing positive things in the world and positive things for our community and people that we love. And any kind of act of charity in that way, I think, is super heroic, and if you try to say like, well, this one person is a superhero to me, sometimes what happens is it feels unattainable to you, as a normal person, like, oh, well, I could never be like that. Maybe I could try, but if you just say like, anybody can be a superhero just by, going above and beyond something that they didn't have to do for someone else, or even for themselves, honestly, I think is really heroic, and it's really brave. And I think everybody.
I like that answer.
Yeah, sorry, it was a little cop out, but I was, oh well.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for calling in. I really can't really believe that I'm actually talking to you right now. So,
it's not really me. This is actually a robot that I built to do interviews for me. And so it only is preloaded with a certain amount of canned responses. So beep, boop, turning off. I'm just kidding.
Well, awesome. Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Yeah, sorry.
pleasure.
I was just gonna say I've been like one of my friends, I've been like texting him like crazy, counting down like the days and then the hours and minutes until I was talking to you. So
Oh, awesome. Well, tell him I said hi, or her, whoever it is. Tell them I said hello. And,
I will.
okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Maya. It was lovely chatting with you.
You too.
All right.
All right. Have a good one, Jeremy.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.